2 in the morning, and I'm lying on our living room couch like some kind of exiled king, staring at the ceiling fan that's been wobbling for 3 months. The same ceiling fan Kendra keeps asking me to fix, but apparently I haven't earned the right to use my own bedroom tools anymore. "You have to earn the right to sleep with me," she'd declared 4 hours earlier, standing in our bedroom doorway like some twisted bouncer at an exclusive club I apparently didn't have membership to anymore. "Marriage isn't a free pass, Mason. You want intimacy? Show me you deserve it." Mason Hart, that's me. 42 years old, owner of Hart HVAC Solutions, and according to my wife of 15 years, not worthy of sleeping in my own damn bed. The irony wasn't lost on me that I'd spent the day fixing air conditioning units for half of Metro Atlanta, making sure other people stayed comfortable, while my own home had become an Arctic wasteland of emotional distance. The house creaked around me, settling into its nighttime routine. Outside, I could hear Mrs. Brennan's dog barking at shadows again. Our subdivision in Roswell was the kind of place where everyone pretended their lives were perfect, where manicured lawns hid messy realities, and where wives apparently developed point systems for basic human affection. Kendra's voice drifted down from upstairs, muffled but audible through our thin walls. She was on the phone with someone, laughing. Actually laughing. The same woman who'd looked at me 2 hours earlier like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe was now giggling like a teenager. I grabbed my phone and checked my bank account, a habit I'd developed lately. Everything looked normal. The business was doing well enough, despite the summer heat wave keeping us busy with emergency calls. Our joint checking showed the usual deposits and withdrawals. Nothing suspicious. But something was definitely wrong. It had started 3 months ago, right around the time Kendra got promoted to senior bookings manager at the Grandview Boutique Hotel downtown. Suddenly, she was working late every night, attending networking events, and posting cryptic Instagram captions about finding yourself, and not settling for less than you deserve. The worst part? Our 17-year-old daughter Tina had started looking at me like I was the problem. Just yesterday, she'd rolled her eyes when I asked about her day and muttered, "God, Dad, no wonder Mom's moving on. You're so basic." Moving on. Those words had hit me like a wrench to the gut. I sat up on the couch and rubbed my eyes. Through the window, I could see the Martinez family's house across the street, dark except for a single porch light. Normal people, sleeping in their own beds next to their spouses, probably not operating on some twisted reward system. My phone buzzed. A text from Victor Sloan, my old buddy who ran a boxing gym downtown. "You awake? Saw your truck in the driveway. Everything okay?" Victor was one of those guys who noticed things. Ex-cop turned gym owner, built like a brick wall with the kind of street smarts that came from 20 years of dealing with Atlanta's finest criminals and biggest liars. If he was texting at 2 a.m., he was probably working late at the gym, which stayed open 24 hours for insomniacs and third-shift workers. "Couch surfing in my own house," I texted back. "Wife's got me on a loyalty points program." "That's rough, brother. Come by tomorrow if you need to hit something." I appreciated Victor's straightforward approach to problem solving. In his world, stress got worked out on heavy bags and speed bags, not through passive-aggressive bedroom banishments. Upstairs, Kendra's voice got louder. I caught fragments. He just doesn't get it. And I deserve better." And something that sounded like, "Travis thinks..." Travis. I'd been hearing that name more often lately. Travis from the hotel, Travis who understood her career ambitions, Travis who apparently had opinions about our marriage. I stood up and walked to the kitchen, my bare feet cold against the hardwood floors. The refrigerator hummed, filled with organic groceries Kendra had started buying since her promotion. Expensive yogurt, artisanal cheese, wine that cost more than I used to spend on groceries for a week. Everything in our house had gotten more expensive lately. Kendra's wardrobe, her skincare routine, her gym membership at some fancy place called Pure Bar, where classes cost $40 each. When I'd mentioned the increased spending, she'd given me a look that could freeze antifreeze. "I'm investing in myself," she'd said. "Maybe you should try it sometime." I opened the fridge and grabbed a beer, one of the cheap ones I kept hidden behind her kombucha collection. The bottle was cold and familiar, a small comfort in my own home that increasingly felt like enemy territory. From upstairs, I heard Kendra's door close. Finally. Maybe I could get some sleep before my 6 a.m. service call in Buckhead. Mrs. Chen's air conditioning had been acting up again, and she'd specifically requested me. Some customers appreciated reliability, even if my own wife didn't. I finished my beer and settled back onto the couch, pulling the throw blanket over my shoulders. It smelled like Kendra's perfume, something new and expensive she'd started wearing. Another investment in herself, no doubt. As I closed my eyes, I made a mental note to call my lawyer tomorrow, just to understand my options. Not because I was planning anything drastic, but because a smart businessman always knows where he stands. The last thing I heard before drifting off was the sound of a car pulling into our driveway, then footsteps, then whispered voices. I should have gotten up to look, should have investigated, but I was tired, and honestly, I wasn't sure I wanted to know what I might see. That was my first mistake. 3 weeks later, I found myself standing in the ballroom of the Grandview Boutique Hotel, wearing a suit that felt too tight and holding a whiskey that tasted too expensive. The charity mixer was one of those events Kendra had insisted we attend together, a rare request for my company that should have made me happy. Instead, I felt like a prop in someone else's performance. Mason, you remember Travis Fulton, don't you? Kendra's voice had that artificially bright quality she used when she was performing for an audience. He's the one I was telling you about, the real estate developer who's been helping with our corporate housing partnerships. Travis Fulton looked exactly like what Central Casting would order for successful Atlanta real estate guy. Tall, tan, perfect teeth, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. His handshake was firm and lingered just a second too long, the kind of power play guys like him lived for. Mason, right? The air conditioning guy. His smile was sharp. Kendra's told me so much about you. HVAC systems engineer, I corrected, matching his grip. And contractor. I own Hart HVAC Solutions. We handle commercial and residential climate control throughout the metro area. Of course. Travis's eyes had already moved on, scanning the room for more important people to network with. Well, we certainly appreciate what you do. Can't imagine Atlanta without air conditioning. The dismissal was smooth and practiced. In Travis's world, I was service industry, blue collar, someone who fixed things for people like him but didn't belong at their parties. Excuse me, I said. I'm going to find the bar. The bartender was a guy named Carlos who'd worked on my crew 2 summers ago before going back to school. He recognized me immediately and poured my whiskey with an extra finger. Mr. Hart, good to see you, man. How's business? Busy. Hot summer means good money. I took a sip and watched the crowd. You know these people? Carlos glanced around and lowered his voice. Some of them. Hotel crowd, real estate types, wannabe influencers. Your wife comes to a lot of these things. Yeah, she's been networking more since her promotion. She's here every week, man. Usually with that blonde lady and the tall guy in the expensive suit. Carlos nodded toward Travis, who was now standing close to Kendra near the silent auction table. They tip well, I'll give them that. Every week. Kendra had told me these events were monthly. I watched my wife laugh at something Travis said, her hand briefly touching his arm. The gesture looked natural, comfortable, familiar, like they'd done it before. Carlos, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. He nodded, suddenly serious. How often is my wife here with that guy? Carlos looked uncomfortable. Mr. Hart, I don't want to get in the middle of anything. You're not. I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at. He sighed. Every Tuesday and Thursday for about 2 months now. They usually sit at the corner table, order the good wine, stay until closing. Last week, he hesitated. What? Last week I saw them in the parking lot. They were close, real close. The whiskey turned bitter in my mouth. I set the glass down carefully, fighting the urge to throw it across the room. Thanks for being honest. Mr. Hart, I'm sorry, man. You were always good to work for. I nodded and walked away, my mind racing. Every Tuesday and Thursday. That explained the late nights, the new clothes, the sudden interest in professional development. It also explained why she'd been so eager for me to attend tonight. She wanted to show me off to Travis, prove she had a stable home life while she played her games. I found a quiet corner and watched the room with new eyes. Kendra was holding court near the auction table, surrounded by hotel staff and real estate people. She looked radiant, confident, alive in a way I hadn't seen at home in months. This was her world now, and I was just visiting. Travis appeared at her side with 2 glasses of champagne. She accepted hers with a smile that made my chest tight. When was the last time she'd smiled at me like that? Dad? I turned to find Tina standing behind me, looking uncomfortable in a black dress that was probably too mature for 17, but made her look like a young version of her mother. Hey, kiddo, didn't know you were coming tonight? Mom asked me to, said it was important for family appearances. She glanced around the room with teenage disdain. This is so fake. Everyone pretending to care about charity when they're really just showing off. Smart kid. She'd inherited her mother's social intelligence, but thankfully not her taste for manipulation. Your mom's doing well here, I said carefully. Yeah, she loves this stuff. All the attention, the networking, the drama. Tina paused. Dad, are you and Mom okay? You've been sleeping on the couch a lot. The question hit harder than I expected. My 17-year-old daughter had noticed what I'd been trying to ignore. We're working through some things, Tina. Adults sometimes need space to figure stuff out. Is it because of Travis? What do you know about Travis? Mom talks about him all the time. Travis thinks this, Travis says that. It's annoying. She looked across the room where her mother was now standing very close to Travis, their heads bent together over a phone screen. He's gross, Dad. Like trying too hard gross. Tina, I'm not stupid. I see how she acts around him, and I see how she treats you now. Her voice got smaller. I don't like it. I put my arm around her shoulders. Hey, whatever happens between your mom and me, it's not your fault, okay? And it doesn't change how much we both love you. I know, I miss when we were normal. Normal. When was the last time we'd been normal? When was the last time Kendra had looked at me the way she was looking at Travis right now? Come on, I said. Let's go find some of those fancy appetizers and make fun of rich people. Tina smiled for the first time all evening. Okay, but I get to pick who we make fun of first. We spent the next hour doing exactly that, creating elaborate backstories for the other guests and rating their outfits on a scale of trying too hard to gave up entirely. It was the most fun I'd had in weeks. But I kept watching Kendra and Travis, kept noticing how they moved around each other like dancers who'd practiced their routine, kept seeing the way she lit up when he whispered something in her ear. Around 10 o'clock, Kendra appeared at my elbow. Mason, I'm going to stay and help clean up. Can you take Tina home? Sure. You need a ride later? Lori's giving me a ride. She nodded toward her best friend, who was deep in conversation with Travis near the exit. We're going to grab coffee and debrief about the event. Coffee at 10 p.m. on a Thursday night. Okay, I said. See you at home? She kissed my cheek, a perfunctory gesture that felt like checking a box on her to-do list. Drive safe. I drove Tina home in silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. As we pulled into our driveway, she turned to me. Dad, whatever you decide to do about Mom, I'll understand. 17 years old, and she was giving me permission to protect myself. That's when I knew things were worse than I'd thought. That night, I didn't even bother with the couch. I went straight to the guest bedroom and started making plans. The next morning, I did something I'd never thought I'd do in 15 years of marriage. I hired a private investigator. His name was Rick Sandoval, a former Atlanta PD detective who now ran a small firm specializing in domestic situations. Victor had recommended him after I showed up at the gym at 5 a.m., looking like I'd been hit by a truck. Look, Mason, Victor had said while I pounded the heavy bag like it owed me money. You can either keep beating yourself up, or you can get smart about this. Rick's good people. He'll give you facts, not feelings. Rick's office was in a strip mall in Sandy Springs, wedged between a tax preparation service and a nail salon. Nothing fancy, which I appreciated. His rates were reasonable, his references solid, and he had a straightforward approach that reminded me of diagnosing a broken HVAC unit. Identify the problem, document the evidence, present the solution. I need to know what my wife is doing on Tuesday and Thursday nights, I told him, and I need it documented properly. Divorce? Maybe. Probably. I just need to understand what I'm dealing with first. Rick nodded and quoted me a daily rate. I'll need a retainer, and I'll send you reports every few days. Photos, timeline, locations, everything legal and admissible if it comes to that. How long do these things usually take? In cases like this? Not long. People having affairs get comfortable, sloppy. They stop being careful because they think their spouse is clueless. He leaned back in his chair. Are you prepared for what I might find? I think I already know what you're going to find. I just need proof. I was right. Rick's first report arrived 3 days later via encrypted email. Tuesday night, Kendra met Travis at the hotel bar at 7 p.m. They had dinner, several drinks, and at 9:30, they took the elevator to the 4th floor. Travis had a room, 412. They stayed until 11:45 p.m. Thursday night, same routine, different room number. The photos were clinical but devastating. Kendra and Travis holding hands across a dinner table. Kendra and Travis kissing in the hotel elevator. Kendra leaving the hotel with disheveled hair and Travis's jacket over her shoulders. I stared at the images on my laptop screen, sitting in my work truck during lunch break. Part of me had hoped I was wrong, that there was an innocent explanation for everything. That part of me was officially gone. The second report was worse. Rick had expanded his surveillance to include weekends. Saturday afternoon, Kendra and Travis at Travis's house in the upscale Brookhaven neighborhood. She told me she was shopping with Lori. Sunday morning, Travis's car in our driveway while I was at my parents' house helping my dad with his roof repair. They'd been in my house, in my bed. The third report included financial information. Rick had contacts who could access public records, and what he found painted a clear picture. Travis was leveraged to his eyeballs, with 3 mortgages on properties he was supposedly flipping but couldn't sell. His real estate company was bleeding money, and he'd been using the hotel's corporate housing partnerships to generate cash flow. In other words, he was a fraud who was using my wife to prop up his failing business. Your wife's been booking corporate clients into Travis's properties, Rick explained during our meeting the following Friday. The hotel pays premium rates for furnished short-term rentals, Travis gets guaranteed income, and your wife gets kickbacks in the form of consulting fees. That's not legal, is it? It's a gray area. Not technically illegal, but definitely against hotel policy. If her boss found out, she'd be fired immediately. I studied the financial documents Rick had compiled. How much money are we talking about? Based on the booking records I could access, probably $20,000 over the past 3 months. $20,000. No wonder Kendra had been spending more freely. She was essentially stealing from her employer to fund her affair and her new lifestyle. What do you recommend? I asked. Rick leaned forward. Legally, you have her clearly at fault for adultery, which Georgia still recognizes as grounds for divorce. The financial stuff is trickier. It's not your money she's stealing, it's the hotel's, but it shows a pattern of deception and fraud that would work in your favor. And Travis? Travis is a small-time con man who's in way over his head. His business is going to collapse within 6 months, whether you do anything or not. The question is whether you want to accelerate the timeline. I thought about Tina, about our house, about the business I'd built from nothing, about the 15 years I'd invested in a marriage that had apparently been for sale. I want to accelerate the timeline, I said. Rick smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. That weekend, I started making my own preparations. I consulted with a divorce attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia Wong who specialized in high-asset cases. I moved money from our joint accounts to business accounts legally and with proper documentation. I changed the locks on my office and had new security cameras installed. Most importantly, I started planning my exit strategy. Kendra noticed something was different Sunday night when she came home from another shopping trip with Lori. You seem calm, she said, standing in the kitchen doorway while I made dinner. Are you feeling okay? I'm feeling great, I said, stirring the pasta sauce. Work's been good. Tina's doing well in school. Life is pretty simple right now. She frowned. Simple? Yeah. No complications, no drama, no surprises. Just taking things one day at a time. Mason, we need to talk about us, about our situation. I turned to face her. She looked beautiful, as always, but now I could see the calculation behind her eyes. She was trying to read me, trying to figure out what had changed. What situation is that, Kendra? You know what I mean. The sleeping arrangements, the distance between us. We can't keep living like roommates. You're right, I said. We can't. Her face brightened. So you're ready to work on things, to make some changes? Oh, I'm definitely ready to make some changes. She stepped closer, putting her hand on my arm. I'm glad, Mason. I know I've been hard on you lately, but I just want us to be better. To be the couple we used to be. I looked down at her hand. The same hand that had been holding Travis's hand 3 nights ago in the hotel bar. We can't be the couple we used to be, Kendra. That couple doesn't exist anymore. What do you mean? I gently removed her hand from my arm. I mean, things have changed. We've both changed. And maybe it's time to accept that and figure out what comes next. She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see the wheels turning. She was trying to decide whether I knew something or if I was just being philosophical. Maybe you're right, she said finally. Maybe we do need to figure out what comes next. I'm glad we agree. That night, she didn't send me to the couch. Instead, she went to bed early, claiming she had a headache. I stayed up late reviewing Rick's reports and making lists. By morning, I'd made my decision. It was time to disappear. I left on a Tuesday morning at 4 a.m., while Kendra was still asleep and dreaming about whatever people dream about when they are living double lives. My truck was packed with a week's worth of clothes, my laptop, important documents, and enough cash to stay invisible for as long as necessary. The plan was elegant in its simplicity, complete radio silence. No angry confrontations, no dramatic speeches, no ultimatums. Just gone. I'd arranged for my foreman, Danny Rodriguez, to handle the business for the next week. Told him I was taking a vacation, first one in 5 years, and that he was in charge. Danny was solid, been with me since I started the company, and he knew how to keep things running smooth. My first stop was a lawyer's office in Marietta, where Patricia Wong was waiting with a stack of papers that would change my life forever. Divorce petition, asset protection documents, and a restraining order if you need it, she said, sliding the folders across her desk. Everything's ready to file as soon as you give me the word. What about the house? Since you're the primary breadwinner and she's committed adultery, Georgia law favors your position. Plus, the financial irregularities Rick documented will work in your favor. You'll keep the house, the business, and most of the assets. And Tina? Tina's 17. In Georgia, she can choose which parent to live with. Based on what you've told me about her relationship with her mother, I don't think that'll be a problem. I signed the papers and left them with Patricia. File them Friday morning. I want Kendra served at work, in front of her colleagues. That's harsh, Mason. She earned harsh. From the lawyer's office, I drove to a storage unit I'd rented under my business name. Inside were boxes of evidence Rick had compiled, copies of financial records, and backup drives containing every email and text message I'd recovered from our shared devices. Insurance, in case Kendra tried to play dirty. Then I drove to the mountains. I'd booked a cabin near Helen, Georgia, under my mother's maiden name. Cash payment, no credit cards, no digital trail. The kind of place where a man could disappear for a while and think about his next move. The cabin was perfect, isolated, quiet, with spotty cell service that would make me hard to reach even if someone tried. I spent the first day just sitting on the porch, drinking beer, and watching the world exist without me. On Wednesday, I drove into town and bought a burner phone. Then I did something that would either be brilliant or completely insane. I called Lori Finch. Lori answered on the second ring. Mason, why are you calling from a strange number? Hey, Lori, I'm out of town on business, having phone problems. Listen, I need a favor. Okay. She sounded suspicious, which was smart of her. Kendra's been stressed about work lately, and I want to surprise her. Can you help me set up something special? What kind of special? I was thinking we could stage a photo. You and me having coffee, looking friendly. I'll post it on social media, make her think I'm finally making an effort with her friends. There was a long pause. That's actually really sweet, Mason. I know we haven't always gotten along, but Kendra's happiness is important to me, and you're important to her. When were you thinking? I'm driving back through Atlanta tomorrow afternoon. Could you meet me at that coffee place in Buckhead? The one with the good lighting? Cafe Intermezzo? That's the one. Say, 2 o'clock? Sure, Mason. I think Kendra will love this. Thursday afternoon, I sat across from Lori at a small table by the window, both of us smiling for the camera while a waitress took our picture. To anyone watching, we looked like old friends catching up over lattes. This is really nice, Lori said after the waitress left. I always thought you didn't like me. I think we just never took the time to get to know each other, I said. Kendra talks about you all the time. She talks about you too. Good things, I hope. Lori's smile faltered slightly. She cares about you, Mason. Whatever problems you two are having, she does care. I know she does. That's why I want to fix things. We talked for another hour, and I let Lori do most of the talking. She told me about her job, her dating life, her concerns about Kendra's recent behavior. It was interesting how much she revealed when she thought I was trying to be a better husband. She's been working so much lately, Lori said. All those networking events and client dinners. Sometimes I worry she's burning herself out. Client dinners? Yeah, with that real estate guy, Travis. They've been doing a lot of business together. Right, Travis. Kendra mentioned him. He's intense, very focused on success, very ambitious. Sometimes I think he's a bad influence on her. How so? Lori looked uncomfortable. Just, she's changed since she started working with him. More materialistic, more focused on money and status. That's not the Kendra I've known for 10 years. I nodded sympathetically. People change. Sometimes they grow apart. I hope you two can work things out. I really do. After we parted ways, I drove back to the mountains and uploaded our photo to Facebook and Instagram. The caption was simple. Great catching up with Lori today. Sometimes the best way forward is making peace with the past. Then I turned off the burner phone and waited. I didn't have to wait long. By Friday morning, the burner phone had 47 missed calls and a voicemail box that was completely full. I listened to the first few messages, and they were everything I'd hoped for. Message 1, Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Mason, what the hell is this photo? Call me back right now. Message 5, Thursday at 8:15 p.m. I know you're getting these messages. This isn't funny. Call me back or I'm calling the police. Message 12, Thursday at 11:30 p.m. Please, Mason, just talk to me. I don't understand what's happening. Where are you? Message 23, Friday at 2 a.m. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for everything. Just come home and we can work this out. Message 31, Friday at 6 a.m. The lawyers called. I can't believe you're doing this. After 15 years, this is how you want to end things? Message 47, Friday at 10:30 a.m. I know you're listening to these. You always were a coward, Mason. You can't even face me like a man. The progression from confusion to anger to desperation to rage was fascinating, like watching someone's entire emotional range compressed into 12 hours of voicemails. But it was the text messages from Lori that really made me smile. Mason, Kendra is losing her mind. She thinks we're having an affair. She screamed at me for an hour last night. What did you do? She's saying you planned this whole thing, that you used me to hurt her. Is that true? I can't believe I trusted you. You're sick. Don't ever contact me again. Perfect. I'd managed to destroy Kendra's relationship with her best friend and co-conspirator with a single coffee date and a well-timed social media post. On Saturday morning, I drove back to Atlanta. It was time for the next phase of my plan. I returned to find my house transformed into a crime scene of emotional devastation. Kendra's car was in the driveway, along with a silver BMW I recognized as Travis's. Through the front window, I could see them in my living room, having what appeared to be an intense conversation. I parked across the street and called Patricia Wong. How did the service go? I asked. Smooth as silk. She was served at work Friday afternoon, right in front of the hotel management. Made quite a scene, from what I hear. And the hotel? I made some calls. They're conducting an internal investigation into her booking practices. My contact says she'll probably be terminated by Monday. What about Travis? Funny you should ask. I had lunch with a friend who works in commercial real estate. Seems Mr. Fulton's been having some serious cash flow problems. 3 of his properties are in foreclosure, and his business license is under review for fraudulent practices. I smiled. Sounds like he's having a bad week. It's about to get worse. I filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau and the Georgia Real Estate Commission. His corporate housing scam is about to get a lot of unwanted attention. I hung up and watched my house for another few minutes. Through the window, I could see Kendra gesturing wildly while Travis sat with his head in his hands. The body language told the whole story. Their perfect little scheme was falling apart, and they were turning on each other. My phone buzzed. A text from Tina. Dad, where are you? Mom's freaking out, and there's some strange man here. I'm scared. That decided it. I got out of my truck and walked to my own front door. The conversation inside stopped the moment I turned my key in the lock. By the time I opened the door, Kendra was standing in the entryway with Travis behind her, both of them looking like they'd been caught robbing a bank. Mason, Kendra's voice was shrill. Where have you been? I've been calling you for days. I've been thinking, I said calmly, setting my keys on the hall table. Hello, Travis. Didn't expect to see you in my living room. Travis had the decency to look embarrassed. Mason, I think there's been some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I said. I understand perfectly. You've been sleeping with my wife and using her to defraud her employer. She's been stealing money from the hotel to fund your failing business and her new lifestyle. Pretty straightforward, actually. The silence that followed was deafening. How did you... Kendra started. What? How did I find out that you've been meeting Travis at the hotel twice a week for 2 months? How did I discover the kickback scheme? How did I learn about the corporate housing fraud? I shrugged. I hired a private investigator. Amazing what you can learn when you actually try. Travis stepped forward. Look, Mason, this doesn't have to get ugly. We're all adults here. You're right, Travis. We are all adults. Which is why I've already filed for divorce, reported your business practices to the state licensing board, and provided evidence of the hotel fraud to Kendra's employer. Kendra went white. You did what? I protected myself and my assets. You know, like an adult. Dad? Tina appeared at the top of the stairs, looking young and scared. What's going on? Come down here, kiddo. We need to have a family conversation. Tina descended the stairs slowly, eyeing Travis with obvious distaste. Who is he? This is Travis, I said. He's your mother's business partner, and apparently more than that. Mason, don't, Kendra warned. Don't what? Don't tell our daughter the truth? She's 17, Kendra. She's not stupid. She already knows something's wrong. I turned to Tina. Your mother and I are getting divorced. She's been having an affair with Travis, and they've been stealing money from her job to pay for it. I'm going to keep the house and the business. You can choose where you want to live. Tina looked from me to her mother to Travis, her expression cycling through confusion, hurt, and finally disgust. "Mom?" she said quietly. "Is that true?" Kendra's face crumpled. "Tina, it's complicated. Your father doesn't understand. Is it true?" "Yes," Kendra whispered. Tina nodded slowly, then looked at Travis. "Get out of my house." "Tina, let's not—" Travis started. "Get out," she screamed with all the righteous fury of a teenager who just discovered her world was built on lies. Travis looked at Kendra, who nodded miserably. He gathered his jacket and headed for the door, pausing only to look back at me. "This isn't over, Mason." "Yes, it is," I said. "Your business is finished, your scam is exposed, and your girlfriend is about to be unemployed. It's very much over." After he left, the three of us stood in the entryway, 15 years of marriage reduced to this awkward triangle of betrayal and consequences. "What happens now?" Kendra asked. "Now you pack your things and find somewhere else to stay. The divorce will be final in 60 days, assuming you don't contest it. If you do contest it, I'll make sure every detail of your affair and your fraud gets entered into public record. Where am I supposed to go?" "That's not my problem anymore." Tina walked over and stood next to me. "I'm staying with Dad." Kendra's face showed the first real emotion I'd seen from her in months, genuine pain. "Tina, please. I know I made mistakes, but I'm still your mother." "You're a stranger," Tina said coldly. "I don't even know who you are anymore." Kendra looked at me with desperate eyes. "Mason, please, we can work this out. I'll end things with Travis, I'll quit the hotel, we can start over." "Kendra," I said gently, "you told me I had to earn the right to sleep with you. You treated me like a stranger in my own home. You stole money, lied to our daughter, and brought your lover into our bed. There's no coming back from that. But I love you." "No, you don't. You love the security I provided while you figured out your next move. But you don't love me." She started crying then, real tears that might have moved me a month ago. Now they just seemed like another manipulation, another performance. "I'll pack some things and stay at a hotel tonight," she said finally. "Not the Grandview," I said. "I hear they're not hiring." 2 hours later, Kendra was gone. Tina and I ordered pizza and sat in the living room, both of us emotionally exhausted. "Dad," she said, "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For not letting them get away with it, for fighting back." "I didn't fight, kiddo. I just stopped playing their game." Same thing. Maybe she was right. Maybe sometimes the best way to win is to simply refuse to lose. 3 months later, the divorce was final. Kendra got her personal belongings and a small settlement. I kept the house, the business, and custody of Tina. Travis's real estate company went bankrupt, and he left Atlanta owing money to half the contractors in the city. Kendra found a job at a smaller hotel in Savannah and moved there to start over. She sends Tina birthday cards and tries to call on holidays, but the damage is done. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal easily. As for me, I'm sleeping in my own bed again, running my business, and raising my daughter. Life is simpler now, quieter, honest. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, sometimes it's just getting free.